After taking a French course for a year, I decided to watch a TV series in French. At first, I was rather shocked at how little I understood, but after only 5 episodes, I suddenly understood so much more. So, what had happened? When I started learning French in my early 20s, I signed up for a course at my university and attended it for about a year. This was actually the last language for which I ever attended a course. After that year, I could say a few sentences or have a very basic conversation, but not that much, which is rather poor considering that I spoke Latin and Italian, and so I should have had quite a big advantage. So what I decided was that I needed to get a lot more exposure to the language. And for that, I did something which I had been wanting to do for a very long time. To finally watch the first series of Dragon Ball. Because see, I had been watching Dragon Ball Z over and over again, while I had always only seen clips or images of the first series of Goku as a child, but I had no idea what the plot was. So with no intention to watch GT, I found the French dubbed version of the first series and started watching it. At first, I was rather shocked at how little I understood. I thought, hang on, I've been taking a course for a year and I've been studying quite a lot. How come I only recognize so few words? That could have been very discouraging to a lot of people, and I might have given up if it hadn't been for my interest in finally watching this series. And that is a crucial point here, that we watch something that we're really interested in, because then we forget about the fact that we're learning a language because we get absorbed by the plot and we want to know what's going to happen next. I continued to watch not only because I wanted to learn French, but because I wanted to know what was going to happen with La Tortue Géniale, Satan Petit Cœur. What a weird name. And so it only took me about 5 to 10 episodes to radically improve my understanding. But what had happened? Had I learned so many new words in only 10 episodes? No, of course not. What had happened is that I had gotten used to hearing French. Because when you take a class or you use a textbook, you encounter short sentences, or when you use flashcards, you learn one word at a time. But you never really get used to hearing these words over and over again in long sentences in a conversation. And when we encounter a word in a textbook that we kind of know, but we're not sure about it, we can take 1 or 2 seconds to remember what this word means, but that's not possible in a conversation. So what watching Dragon Ball had done is it had trained me to understand words in a split second. And I think that's only possible if we stop trying to understand every word and just let the language come at us and trust that we will understand it. Because when we try to analyze everything in a language, I think it's not necessarily because we don't understand it, but also because we tell ourselves that we don't understand it because we still consider it to be some foreign entity. But when I stopped doing that and tried to feel comfortable with the language, I was surprised that I suddenly understood so much more. So the fact that I didn't understand much at first wasn't really because I didn't know the words. I knew the words, I had been studying French for a year, but I didn't recognize them because I wasn't used to hearing them. Funny. So I continued watching past episode 20, 30, and at some point I had completely lost the awareness that I was watching this in French because I was so consumed by the plot. And by the time I reached the end, episode 153, I understood probably 90%. Certainly, it was a big help that I already spoke 2 Romance languages, but later I did the same thing with Japanese, Russian, and other languages. And there it took longer because those languages are more different. But in each of those cases, I managed to reach a point where I felt comfortable with the language, where I felt at home. And I think that's the goal that we should aim for. Another fundamental element, besides watching something that we really like, was that I consumed 153 episodes of the same story, which means that there was a consistency in the words being used, in the voice actors, and I think this was really helpful in order to familiarize myself with the language. Because afterwards I tried to watch a different series and I was surprised at first that I understood so much less. But it didn't take very long to get back to the same level of understanding that I had achieved with Dragon Ball. And as I kept on varying the type of content that I watched, I got more and more used to different accents, different topics. But I think it was important at first to spend a long time with one story in order to get into the language. So I find watching TV series a great way to improve my understanding in the language when I already have an intermediate level. Please let me know in the comments what your experience is with watching TV series in language learning. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Ciao!